Hi, I'm Radical Coder. This is Umbreon. And real quick, before we dive in, if you want to make sure this little dude stays fed and warm, drop a like, hit subscribe, and let me know in the comments what I got right, what I got wrong, or what you want to argue about. Let's go. So if you ever feel like, man, there sure is a lot of stuff that Trump's doing, it's kind of overwhelming. It's really hard to follow. Like the media is just reporting on stuff he does constantly. What's up with that? Well, it's very deliberate. It's the flood the zone strategy. It leaves opponents like myself gasping in outrage. It's a deliberate effort by the president's team to roll out an unceasing flow of initiatives. It knocks rivals off balance in this was the first few days. I mean, this is old. Strategy has existed since at least 2018. I mean, it's an older strategy than that. It's not like Steve Bannon really invented this strategy of the flood the zone, but he seems to have coined it, at least in terms of Trump's approach to it. But yeah, it was Steve Bannon's strategy. He boasts about overwhelming Democrats and any media opposition through a determined effort to flood the zone with initiatives. This time, the flood is bigger, wider, and more brutally efficient. As President, this is a week after he took office. So as President Trump begins his second term, he has enacted his agenda at breakneck speed as part of an intentional plan to knock his opponents off balance and dilute their response. So true. Firing inspectors general, lots of them. How many did he fire? Yeah, 17. No, I mean, this is just like a few days in. There's probably been more fired now, I imagine. Sweeping clemency for January 6th defendants, investigations of perceived enemies, a federal hiring freeze, moving to end birthright citizenship. That one's obviously unconstitutional. An immigration crackdown, terminating diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. Again, they forget to mention accessibility. Most of those programs are DEIA. Obviously revoking security clearances. I think, yeah, he just recently also removed like Secret Service protections from Hunter Biden and I think it was other Biden children, right? It's kind of fucked up. Imagine if Biden did that. Imagine if Biden took the Secret Service away from like Donald Trump Jr. Republicans would lose their fucking minds, but whatever. On Tuesday, just when Democrats thought they might come up for air, news broke that Mr. Trump had ordered a freeze on trillions of dollars in federal grants and loans. It's so weird, like reading all this stuff 2 months in. News broke Mr. Trump ordered a freeze on trillions of dollars in federal grants and loans, prompting a new round of outrage. But the flood has had its intended disoriented effect. How can Democrats fight back when they can't even catch their breath? Kuro uses lurk in chat. It's super effective. Good to see you, Kuro. Happy to have you here. Yeah, how can Democrats fight back when they can't catch their breath? That's a strategy. Like it's supposed to be overwhelming. It feels overwhelming because they're trying to do that. It's been overwhelming sensory overload, said Representative Jamie Raskin of Maryland, top Democrat in the House Judiciary Committee. One moment I'm on the phone with someone who does cancer drug clinical medical trials for the government who has been slated for removal because one small part of her job is outreach to the minority community. And he said, next moment I'm talking to lawyers at the Department of Justice and they've been slated to be involuntarily reassigned. It just doesn't stop. The reason I want to go through this stuff that is months old, I think it's really, this all happens so fast. I mean, like I'm saying here, like the point is to flood the zone, right? The point is to overwhelm. There's not a single story that got the attention it deserved. Like there was nothing that happened that actually that any sort of media outlet could ever spend enough time on, because everything they were doing was newsworthy. Everything they were doing was groundbreaking and unprecedented in such a way that it's just so fucking much. I think it deserves a little bit of a post-mortem of sorts on the first few weeks and leading up to now. So that's why I'm kind of digging back into some of this stuff. One of the architects of Mr. Trump's rapid pace strategy is Stephen Miller, the deputy White House chief of staff for policy, who has pushed the flood the zone tactic. Mr. Miller believes that those he regards as Mr. Trump's enemies have limited bandwidth for opposition, and he has told people that the goal is to overwhelm them with a blitz of activity. As I keep saying, the breakneck speed is putting everyone on their heels, said Ryan Walker, the executive vice president of Heritage Action for America, a conservative advocacy group that has developed policies embraced by Mr. Trump. So this is them kind of bragging, right? The breakneck speed's putting everyone on their heels, and he's saying like a good thing. Like everyone's on their heels. We're really getting them. We're really sticking it to them. Mr. Walker said he had seen a sea change from the first administration in terms of how quickly the new administration was working. Yeah, definitely. Because I think when Trump got in last time, he just had no fucking clue. And this time he has a bunch of people who are helping him reshape the government in his own image. Some Democrats have suggested that Mr. Trump and his aides may soon run out of steam. It doesn't seem like they've run out of steam quite yet. I think they've kind of slowed down and they're having to fight a lot more legal battles at this point, which is good. Obviously, we want them to be fighting these legal battles so they're not able to just get everything they try to do across. Anytime a judge disagrees with Trump, they're ruled an activist judge. So watch for that because that'll come up a bunch more. Exhausting their policy moves and eventually themselves, Mr. Raskin said Democrats needed to fight the feeling of being disoriented. weather the torrent of news, and determine which policies they could actually fight in court. Exactly, which I think has happened to a pretty respectable degree. Everyone needs to maintain as much mental clarity and emotional composure as possible, he said. We need to figure out where the administration has clearly violated the Constitution, such as with birthright citizenship, and where the courts will still work for us. In other cases, we're going to have to be creative and nimble. Representative Hakeem Jeffries, Democrat of New York and the minority leader, called a meeting on Wednesday to open a comprehensive three-pronged counteroffensive against Mr. Trump's blitz. This is when he was calling him Captain Chaos, right? Does he still do that? I don't know if he still calls him Captain Chaos. It's a little cringe, but I'm going to admit, I like the Captain Chaos nickname. It's not perfect, but I mean, it is apt, at least, you know? Democrats believe the Trump administration erred badly by freezing grants relied on by many Americans, and will discuss contesting that move through legislation and a communication strategy. Yeah, a lot of federal grants were reinstated, but probably not all, I imagine. It's a little bit like drinking from a fire hose. Representative Gerald E. Connolly of Virginia, the top Democrat in the Oversight Committee, said of the pace of Mr. Trump's moves, but he said the speed is likely to cause sloppiness and mistakes. That's true, hopefully. They're going to stumble, Mr. Connolly said. They're going to screw up, and we're going to pounce when they do. In their haste to remake the federal government, they're going to make big, big mistakes, and we should call them out at every step of the way, if you ask me. There was a similar feeling from advocacy groups trying to keep up with Mr. Trump's sweeping immigration changes. Within hours of taking office, Mr. Trump sought to bar asylum for people arriving at the southern border, suspend the refugee admissions program, and declare migrant crossings at the U.S.-Mexico border a national emergency. The administration welcomed news crews to ride along with federal agents as they pursued undocumented immigrants. I keep seeing these in my Facebook feed. I'll see I guess this U.S. Border Patrol posting clips of people being deported and stuff, and it's like this kind of deportation porn. I guess it's a very, very weird thing to see, but it is par for the course. It is kind of what we'd expect from this administration. Trump administration is issuing multiple overlapping orders in an effort to have us play whack-a-mole, but we're prepared to do that, said Lee Gellert, an American civil liberties union lawyer who represented the group in many of the highest profile cases during the first Trump administration, including a challenge to the family separation policy. So this guy obviously has experience fighting their policies. We're about 60% of the way through. So during the first Trump administration, many on the right were still learning how to use the levers of government to achieve their goals. Now they've entered office ready for a full-scale blitz, and that's exactly what we've seen. They were not this prepared, Mr. Walker said. They had not done this much homework before getting into office, and importantly, they've been able to find acting folks in all these agencies to get this stuff across the finish line, and that is a feat of personnel management that we just did not see in the first administration. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, Republican of Georgia and the chairwoman of new House subcommittee aiming to scale back government by working with Elon Musk's government efficiency effort, said Democrats should get used to late-night policy moves that were unknown during the Biden administration. Mr. Trump's agenda was endorsed by the voters, Greene said, and he is working as fast as humanly possible to enact it. So when Ms. Greene says that Mr. Trump's agenda was endorsed by the voters, I think that's something that should be challenged. And he's working as fast as humanly possible to enact it. That's true. That requires staying up late at night, she said. On Mr. Bannon's War Room podcast earlier this weekend, his voice was filled with pride as he praised the pace of the new administration. If you look at the scale, the depth, and the urgency that comes from years of people working on this, he said, this did not happen overnight. So true. Oh, poor puppy's yawning. He's sleepy too. We're putting the puppy to sleep. I'm sorry, Bubby. You're bored? Poor guy. You want to go play? Here. Hey. He singled out Mr. Miller for praise before encouraging the administration to push forward relentlessly. All pedal, no brake, drive it, drive it, drive it, he said, adding, when you've got this kind of momentum, you do not stop, you do not think, you go, you go, you go. I don't know. If we're talking about reshaping the government, I think you should maybe stop sometimes, take a look around, see what you're doing, see what the consequences are. But obviously, that's not their concern. They're not concerned with what the potential consequences are. They're not concerned with the lives that they destroy. All they care about is going, and driving, and drill, baby, drill, right? So that's fun, and that's the flood of the zone, and it's working. You know, it's absolutely overwhelming. A lot of people don't want to get involved. People don't want to talk about politics because it's fucking depressing right now, right?
Fizz in my cup, swimming good love. It was you at the club, miss your touch. Go again, baby, what's up? Nothing feels right, so let's mess up everything.